best team in baseball has come to Flushing. You wouldn't have known it by their payroll or by their pedigree, but the Oakland A's have established quite the tradition, and they bring the best record in the major leagues into Citi Field. At Citi Field in New York, the New York Mets play the Oakland Athletics. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling, Keith Hernandez with you tonight as the Mets stop off at home for 2 games against the Oakland Athletics before they head back on the road. And today's game marks the return to the major leagues of Travis d'Arnaud after 2.5 weeks in AAA. Travis, who took full advantage of those couple of weeks, is back in the big leagues.
Well, he certainly didn't go down and pout. He absolutely wore out AAA. Hit over 400, had, 8 doubles, 6 home runs, just really went on a tear down there, and this is twofold bringing him up. Obviously, he's a very important part of this ball club for the future, and the Mets are coming off a nice little road series, 3 out of 4 against the Marlins, so they need some offense. They're going to put him in the lineup every day. Hopefully, he can just maintain his guy's rhythm and go forward.
Well, the Mets do come home feeling good about themselves, winners of 4 of their last 5, but now they run into the team with the best record in baseball. And what everybody wants to know about the A's is how in heck are they doing this?
I don't know. What they do is they mix and match. They get these guys from different organizations, and it's not only this year. They've had the most wins since 2012, and Bob Melvin has them running free again. This is a team that can not only shut you out, but they can blow you out. They run differentials, you see at the bottom, 135. The next closest is Seattle at the plus 46. So they are by far the best team in baseball right now.
Pitching well and hitting well, and pitching for them tonight is a guy who 10 years ago was traded from the Mets organization to the Tampa Bay Devil Rays at the time. Now he makes his first ever appearance in Flushing. That would be lefty Scott Kazmir.
You remember, Mets fans, they were trying for the quick fix there when they got Victor Zambrano, and they passed on the wonderful talent of Scott Kazmir. He was great for the Rays, lost his way, came back with Cleveland last year. He struck out 12 Mets in a game against the Mets last season, and has been arguably the best pitcher in the American League. 9-2, the A's to 13-2. A little chance of revenge here in Flushing.
And so for the Mets starter as well, Bartolo Colon, who was not re-signed by the A's after winning 18 games last year, now pitching against his old team tonight.
28-15, 2 years with the A's, not re-signed, signed to the Mets to a 2-year contract. His last 6 starts, he's 5-0. He's primed to go up against these A's.
So it's Kazmir for the A's and Colon for the Mets. Old home week as the Mets and A's meet up. 2 games at Citi Field, the first one tonight right here on SNY. Astoria Federal Savings, by Geico, by Deliver Us from Evil in theaters July 2nd.
Wow.
And by Hyundai. Hyundai leaves the rest wanting. Find out why by visiting buyhyundai.com today. Huey Lewis in the News is coming to Citi Field for a concert after the Mets-Marlins game Saturday, July 12th as part of the Mets concert series presented by Dwayne Reed. Time for you to send in your AT&T fan photo of the game. Tweet or Instagram your photo using hashtag SNYFanPhoto for a chance to have it shown later tonight during the game. Beautiful night in New York. Bartolo Colon is on a roll and tries to keep it rolling against his old team. Mets and A's first pitch coming up from Citi Field. .47-29 starting the night. Coco Crisp had Sunday off, back in the lineup. Josh Reddick back from the disabled list. He'd been out with a knee injury. Brandon Moss, where did he come from? Every time the Mets saw him with the Pirates, he couldn't hit a lick. He hit 30 home runs last year. This is an A's team that is tops in the American League of scoring, third in home runs, and that's the task for Bartolo Colon tonight.
You know, they're going up against their best pitcher, the A's, last season when Gary said he won 18 games. Those are his Caesars numbers this season. He has been so great the last 6 starts. And his last start, 8 unbelievable innings in St. Louis, less than 90 pitches, and over 90 heat.
And we'll take a look at your Metsy Lexus defense. Chris Young in center field gets a start with the left-hander Kazmir on the mound. Eric Campbell at first base gets the start because of the left-hander. Tejada gets a start. And behind the plate, well, he's back. Travis d'Arnaud. Red hot, as we said in the open. Red hot in AAA.
Mets first base coach Tom Goodwin is away from the team for a family matter, so Guy Conti is filling in as the Mets bench coach. Bob Guerin will coach at first base. We wish Tom and his family all the best.
It's like bringing in the greatest college professor of all time to come in and teach like an afternoon class.
He's Yoda.
That's exactly.
Here's Coco Crisp, 34-year-old, now in his 5th year with the A's. had walk-off hits against the Red Sox Friday and Saturday, but was feeling ill and so took Sunday off. The off day helped him after flying across the country, and now here he is leading off against Cologne. Switch hitter batting left, and Bartolo's first pitch of the night. He is in for a call strike, and we're underway.
Well, the A's should be very familiar with Bartolo Colon. They obviously played with him, and this is a team that leads the league in walks. I don't think they're going to get a lot of walks tonight with Colon on the mound.
Colon, the lead and control artist in the National League at 1.3 walks per 9 innings. And he's quickly ahead on Crisp, 0-2.
Coco Crisp did not like that call. He's shaking his head and letting Jerry Lane know. There is a little history between this team and Jerry Lane. Is this fastball running off the plate, Keith?
Well, it's close. Could have gone either way, and obviously Jerry Lane thought it was a strike.
And there's the pitch framing ability of Travis d'Arnaud that we've raved about since last year. The ability to make what might have been a ball look like a strike. 0-2 to Crisp, and that just missed. A ball and 2 strikes. Crisp, then Josh Donaldson and Brandon Moss for the A's, who had a 5-game winning streak snapped on Sunday by the Red Sox in extra innings after they came from behind to force extra innings. And Crisp slaps one right at Daniel Murphy, and that is the first out of the night.
How'd you like to have 56 RBIs in your second? Oh.
This is the most productive two-place hitter in baseball right here.
Josh Donaldson, first-round draft pick by the Cubs in 2007. And you look up and down this A's lineup, and what you find are a lot of other teams' first-round draft picks. In Donaldson's case, he was up and down between the big leagues and the minors 6 times before he finally stuck. And last year, he was 4th in the American League MVP ballot.
And has changed positions. He was a catcher in the Cubs organization, and now has made himself into a fine third baseman.
Ball and a strike to Donaldson. Well, the Cubs were in a race in 08. They needed pitching help. They picked up the oft-injured but mercurial Rich Harden in the deal that sent Donaldson to Oakland. 2-1 now to Donaldson with Brandon Moss on deck. Now Donaldson went through a fairly severe slump through most of June after getting off to just an amazing start this year, but he has righted the ship over the last week, and he pulls that one down the line. That's a foul ball.
He had an 0 for 33 streak, Gary, going that he broke over the last 8 games, where he's gone 8 for 30 to break out, but an 0 for 33 is severe.
Even with that, he's 5th in the American League in home runs, 5th in RBI.
Little 2-1 slider there, Gary, from Bartolo Colon.
Well, the addition of more use of the slider has been a key for Bartolo over these last half dozen starts. This is just off the plate, 3-2.
Said the one thing he changed since his early days in the Cubs organization is his big high leg kick that he uses. That's where he's gotten his power.
3-2 from Colon, and Donaldson chops one over the mound. Tejada flashing in, and the quick toss low, but dug out beautifully by Campbell to save Tejada and get Donaldson for the second out.
On the run throw by Tejada, has to hurry. He knows it, and they just did get a nice scoop.
And Bob Melvin's going to come out to consider challenging it, but it certainly looked from the replay as though the call was a correct one by Joe West at first base. And Joe's already got his arms folded, saying go away.
I don't know body language, but I think that's confrontational.
I mean, come on.
That's Joe. Come on.
Bob Melvin got halfway out there, saw Joe West's body language, and went back.
Is that an in-between hop, Keith? Tough.
Semi.
Yeah.
It's got to be hard, though, on a play where Tejada was moving toward him and throwing as hard as he can, spiking that ball. Is that harder than, say, a ball on a play in the hole?
He's far away enough to where you can make a judgment. You saw him able to stretch. But really, the tough play is the second baseman coming in on a dribbler. But nice scoop.
So 2 out and nobody on. Brandon Moss, the batter. And of all the stories on the A's, to me, this is the most unlikely. Started out in Boston, went to Pittsburgh, then to Philadelphia, played 249 games for those 3 teams, hit .236 with 15 homers. and last year he had 30.
Well,
as an Oakland Athletic.
He was a #1 pick, right? The Red Sox, another #1 pick, and a guy that he said when he was with other organizations, they wanted him to be a cut and slash guy, a guy to get on base, not a doubles hitter.
3-0 pitch, and he pokes one the other way for a base hit. Moss takes a turn. He'll hold up as Eric Young gets to it. So the Mets have the full shift on against Moss, and he hits a little dork the other way on a 3-0 pitch.
Little changeup, looked like, took something off towards the end of the bat, and well placed.
Well, baseball's changing rules every day. On a 3-0 count, that should not be a hit when you hit the ball off the end of the bat. So you got to take it away. You got to hit it more square than that.
Okay. And the line drive right at the shortstop shouldn't be in a hit.
There we go. Uh-oh, talk about long games.
Changing on the fly. So now Yoenis Cespedes, who the last time he was at Citi Field, won himself a home run derby back in July of last season before the All-Star game. Wasn't an All-Star, but he was a home run derby champion. 14 home runs this year, 50 RBIs. Now in his third year with the A's after breaking in with such a splash 2 years ago.
I saw Tulowitzki is going to be the National League captain, and Bautista from the Blue Jays.
And they've changed the rules for the home run derby this year. Driven to center field, hit well. Back goes Chris Young to the warning track, but he won't get to it. It hops off the wall, but stays in play. Moss being waved home, and he'll score without a throw on the double by Cespedes, giving Oakland a 1-0 lead. Yeah, Cespedes made this ballpark look small last year in the home run derby, and he crushed this ball.
Well, as a fastball down the middle here, gets over the head of Chris Young with 2 outs. It's going to score the lone runner, Moss, who doesn't run well. Even if Murph gets the ball and gets a good throw home, it's going to be safe, as he's going to be running all the way. Not a great runner, as you can see. And get out of the way. There he is.
You made a great point there, Keith. It's different when you're running with 2 outs.
Yep. You go in the crack of the bat.
So a run in for Oakland. And now Stephen Vogt, the catcher. The A's have used 3 catchers this year. They're, I guess you'd say, #1 guy, Derek Norris, got whacked in the head by the follow through of Jonathan Herrera's swing on Sunday. He's okay, but he's not in the lineup tonight. Vogt, who's had only 52 at bats this year, is. Vogt is 29 years old, played at Azusa Pacific, same school that produced the Mets' Kirk Nieuwenhuis. He's played a little outfield for the A's as well as catching. Now this was last July. Yoenis Cespedes hitting them where few have hit him.
Well, I was here for that, and you know we do the games here, and you just never get to see the ball hit where he hit the ball. 455, 460, and you know what? You're allowed to throw the bat there.
That's what it's for. Home run derby champion. 1-2 from Cologne, and Vogt fouls it off. So they changed the rules for the home run derby. Instead of 8 players, there'll be 10. Instead of 10 outs per round, you get 7, but there'll be 4 rounds instead of 3. But if you finish first in the opening round, you get a bye into the 3rd round.
Oh, okay.
So the guys who pile them up early will not be penalized. There goes Cespedes. Fly ball out to left. And right there is Eric Young. And that retires the side. The A's played a run against Cologne in the opening inning. Mets come to bat against Casimir when we come back. Pitcher in the 9-hole. That's news. Travis d'Arnaud slots back in the 7 spot. Chris Young gets a start against the left-hander. Eric Young goes back to lead off, and Eric Campbell in the cleanup spot with Duda sitting again against a lefty.
How can Colon be in the 9th hole after his last game? Double, 2 sacrifices. He's on the bases.
He's won for his last one.
There you go. I don't know what I can say about Kazmir. He's had such an incredible year. They're 13-2 in his starts. He's 9-2. Look at all those numbers. He's only given up 6 home runs, all against right-handed hitters. His whip is off the charts, and he doesn't walk anybody. He used to walk 100 a year.
Eric Young leads off. Eric's done well since coming back from the disabled list. This is his 8th game since returning from a hamstring injury. It'll be Young, Murphy, and Wright for the Mets in the opening inning. Kazmir behind 2-0. He has not walked a leadoff hitter in any inning this year. How about that?
97, right? 95 or
95 innings.
Wow.
No leadoff walks. Murphy on deck. I mean, it's amazing when you look at Kazmir's career numbers. Ripped into right center field, a base hit for Eric Young. Takes a hard turn. But Josh Reddick, who's got one of the best arms in baseball, fires it in, and Young holds with a single.
Well, Young from the weak side of the plate for him, and I tell you what, he's made big improvements from the right side of the plate. When he came over to the Mets, we were aware that he was basically better left-hand, much better left-hand hitter, but he's proven to be a solid bat from the right side.
So here's Murphy. Murph comes into the day tied for the National League lead in hits with 92. Mets looking to pick up where they left off offensively on Sunday in Miami, when they banged out 11 runs on a season high tying 17 hits. Kazmir is a lefty that people do run against. He's given up 7 steals and 7 tries this year.
This whole Oakland A's staff and catching core, they run against.
So we'll see whether EY tries to swipe one early. He's 18 for 19 this year. Murphy's got a higher batting average this year against lefties than he does against righties. He's hitting .338 against left-hand pitching. He has really had a tremendous offensive year.
It's because left-handed pitchers predominantly pitch. There's David Wright, Murph, away. That's his strength.
Mets as a team have a batting average 18 points higher against lefties than against righties. And Murphy and Wright are a big reason why.
Now here's Murph complaining about the pitch also.
Murph's doing some politicking here.
Yeah. Same kind of pitch we saw from Colon against Coco Crisp.
That's close. That's nipping. You either got a pitcher's umpire or a hitter's umpire.
Murphy able to stay on the at bat on that slider.
And we'll take a quick peek at your Oakland Athletics Coors Light defense. Cespedes in left field, who got off to a very slow start, has picked it up this month. Reddick just off the DL. Brandon Moss, Gary told you all about him behind the plate. It's been kind of 3 catchers back there, kind of moving them in and out.
2 great arms in that Oakland outfield as Murphy goes down on strikes. Changeup from Kazmir for the first out.
This changeup he throws against righties and lefties is unbelievable. The bottom just drops out of it. It's a circle change, but he turns it over almost like a screwball. That's why you see the wild swing from Murphy.
Mets faced Kazmir last year when he was with the Indians, and he was just great. 6 innings, no runs, no walks, 12 strikeouts. It was the first time he'd ever pitched against the team that traded him away. Now pitching in Flushing for the first time and facing David Wright, who was just coming to the big leagues when Kazmir was traded in for a call strike. It was right at the trading deadline in 2004. The Mets were hoping to make a run, but it just didn't work out that way. Victor Zambrano had a bad elbow. Kazmir went on to great things with Tampa Bay. Changeup fouled down the right field side. Moss giving chase, and it's a terrific catch. Brandon Moss going a long way to catch that foul pop up for the second out.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you're a pitcher, and I'm sure Ronnie will agree with me, and you got the big out in the lineup, you have to get out, and you got a guy that makes a play like that, you're very thankful.
The one thing about Moss and anyone that plays the infield for the Oakland A's, in their Coliseum, lots of room and foul territory. They're used to just never giving up and going 100% at all times.
Yeah, this is a mere postage stamp of a foul territory compared to what the Oakland Coliseum provides. Here's Eric Campbell getting his 10th start.
Victor 10-minute Sobrano.
It's a trade that Met fans will never forget. Young is picked off. Now tries to get a rundown. And he's tagged out by Callaspo to end the inning. So it's a caught stealing for Young, only his second of the year. 1-3-4 to end the inning. Than Manny Gonzalez. Jed Lowry leads off against Bartolo Colon in the second. Lowry, another former Red Sox first-round draft pick, came to the A's by way of Houston, and he's been playing every day at shortstop for the A's.
He's got some serious power too. I remember when I first saw Lowry come up, I thought he was going to be a star in this league. A switch hitting shortstop, got what, 22 extra base hits for the A's this season.
The Mets have only seen Lowry once. It was when he was an Astro.
Right.
And he had an incredible series against them. He went 6 for 10 with a homer and 3 RBIs. That's their only experience with Lowry. So in their eyes, he's already a superstar.
He played 154 games last year for the A's, hit .290 with 15 home runs and 75 RBIs. That's a heck of a season.
Lowry, then Josh Reddick and Alberto Callaspo in the second. And it's hit out to left center. Easy for Eric Young. 1 out. Well, we've chosen the umpiring crew before. We got a rare chance to listen in on the home plate meeting as they discuss the ground rules before the game tonight.
Hey, Terry, why don't you hit these real quick? Make sure I'm not, I've been only here one time all year. We don't lose sight of it, right?
Right.
Okay.
Play it on top of it.
Yeah, play it on top. You can reach underneath. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Nope.
We can reach underneath the camera well and catch it. For whatever reason you do that, I don't know. You can't go down into the steps. The pads are in play. The bars are out of play.
Right.
Everything's the same down the entrance of the next one. You can get on the tarp.
Yep.
If it hits the bars going up and doesn't touch anybody, it comes back, it's in play. Dead?
Yeah, so it's dead.
I know that some places are dead. So the bars are dead.
The bars are dead on the side. On the sides.
Yes. And then, is there anything quirky about the fair ball going into? Okay, so
The pad right above the 335's in play. Above that other pad,
everything's out of the ballpark. You got a fence, double fence back there, but it's back a ways. It shouldn't come into play. You have a possible the top of the bullpens over there. That's beyond the home run fence. That's a home run. Everything's the same down the right side here. Everything underneath. It's basically the same the right and left sides.
All right? Have a good one. All right, have a good one, guys.
That's fascinating.
Right.
I mean, you just don't get to hear that, and that's what takes place before every series as Josh Reddick draws a one-out walk. What's interesting about that, of course, is that the A's never come here, so the ground rules are new for most of them, except for the guy who was in the home plate meeting. That was Chip Hale, who is now the A's bench coach and the Mets' former third base coach.
Is there any symbolism that won't get fooled again by the Who was playing as they started to give the rules?
Very interesting. Now, you want the umpires to know the ground rules. Jerry Lane said, I've only been here once. Refresh my memory.
There's Chip Hale, now the bench coach for Bob Melvin. Here's Alberto Casaspo, who usually DHs for the A's, playing second base today. One of 3 switch hitters in the A's lineup today.
Boy, that was a hard tag by Campbell. I like it. I don't see that very often.
Boy, you look at both teams on the field today, except for the ballpark, you think you're in Mr. Sherman's Wayback Machine. You're going back to 1973 in the World Series, the last time these two squads in the postseason, the days of Rusty Staub and Matlack Seaver, Catfish Hunter. What a World Series that was.
Turned out to be a great one. The A's won in 7 games after the Mets had a 3-2 lead going to Oakland. Casaspo fouls one away. Alberto Casaspo started out his career in Arizona, Kansas City, Anaheim. The A's got him at the trading deadline last year. Scott Kazmir on deck. It'll be his first plate appearance of the season. The A's have only played 3 interleague games this year, and those were at home.
3-0 in those games.
Yes.
Mets are 3-4 in interleague play so far this year.
They're 21-14 in division.
It's the off-speed pitch to Casaspo. Well, this is 1973, Game 7. Wayne Garrett at the plate for the final out of that 1973 World Series.
He's playing left. Joe Rudy?
Should be.
That was Campaneris.
That's right. That's Darrell Knowles, who remember the first guy ever to appear in every World Series game, all 7
games. Yeah. Of course, Raleigh Fingers was the workhorse in that bullpen. He had an outing in that series where he went 3 1/3.
Yep. And that was, of course, the big Yogi Berra pitching Seaver in Game 6. When he had George Stone, he could have possibly pitched, and then Matlack was a rookie that year. Matlack?
No, his rookie is 72.
That's right.
But the thing about it is that Seaver pitched fine in Game 6. That's pulled down to first. Nice diving stop by Campbell, and from his knees he gets the force. Beautifully done by Eric Campbell for the second out.
Nice dive and recovery. Now, question, Gary, is I know that the daylight play is not reviewable, but how about on a high throw such as this?
If the ball pulls, in the opinion of the umpire, if the ball pulls the infielder off the bag, that's different from the neighborhood play.
Gotcha.
But I don't think you would rule that pulled him off the bag.
Well, plus Tejada faked the throw like he was throwing to first base.
Here's Kazmir, 2 for 18 in his career. And what I was going to say about the 73 series is that Seaver pitched okay. It was Matlack who really did not.
That's fine, yes.
He was on the board.
Yep.
Matlack got knocked out of the 3rd inning in Game 7, and they ended up using Stone in relief. So, go figure. Slash just foul. Kazmir almost had himself a double, just like Ken Holtzman in that 73 series.
Well, the pitchers for the A's hit the ball extremely well. I remember John Blue Odom, I believe, had a hit in that series, and Holtzman was he was always one of the best hitting pitchers anyway.
There's a history of that, you know, because in '69, Dave McNally hit a home run against the Mets in Game 5 of the World Series. Of course, in those days, pitchers hit normally in the American League before the DH. Kazmir takes a pretty good swing. Murphy down to a knee, and that'll do it for the A's in the top of the second. Walk in, one left. Thanks to some fine defense by Eric Campbell. To the bottom of the second, 1-0 Oakland. Friday, July 4th, with a post-game fireworks show presented by Citi following the Mets game against the Texas Rangers at 7:10. Eric Campbell hits one down the right field line, and that ball falls fair into the corner. Campbell racing for second, and he'll stop there with a leadoff double. Campbell continues to excel, takes one the other way against Kazmir.
Well, Campbell's playing time has diminished, getting the start tonight at first base with the left-hander. He can go that way real well. He's been really outstanding off the bench as a pinch hitter.
You know, Keith, his time has diminished, but I really feel it's got to increase. Lucas has had a hard time against left-handed pitching. Why not throw Campbell out there and let him see what he can do?
You know what? If you were ever going to start Lucas against a lefty, this would be the day, because Kazmir's splits are completely backwards. Lefties are hitting nearly 100 points higher against Kazmir than the righties. But Terry Collins said he'll probably play Duda tomorrow against the journeyman lefty Brad Mills. Here's Granderson, who's been red hot. Curtis was on base 4 times Sunday. In his last 18 games, he has a .493 on base percentage and a .604 slugging percentage. That's how hot he's been.
And he cracks one to deep right field. Reddick goes back. It's over his head, and it's out of here. Curtis Granderson with a 2-run homer. Number 10 for Granderson, and it's 2-1 New York.
There's your lefty-lefty numbers, Gary. Personified.
Granderson had more at-bats against Kazmir than anybody in the Mets lineup, and the familiarity paid off. Three pitches thrown by Kazmir here in the second. A Campbell double, a Granderson 2-run homer, and just like that, the Mets have the lead.
Very quick, wants the fastball away. I think bleeds it over the middle. Yes, and Curtis turns on it. and he's just been on fire.
I love David Wright's quotes about Granderson. Said he's never played with a lot of teammates now, a guy that's more on an even keel than Curtis Granderson. He said when he was hitting 140 in April, he was the same person now that he's hitting.
The Mets have begun to use those towels to celebrate every positive development.
Look at the beards last year for the Red Sox. Whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes.
2-1 to Chris Young.
Off speed, hit in the air, deep left field. Back goes Cespedes, back to the track, looking up. It's out of here! Granderson and Young go back to back, and it's 3-1 New York. The first time this season the Mets have hit back-to-back home runs. 5th of the year for Chris Young.
You know, Keith, in the open, I talked all about the revenge of Bartolo Colon pitching against the A's. I certainly didn't talk about Chris Young.
Well, Young, whom the A's did not re-sign after a difficult season last year. First at bat against his old team, and he hits the changeup out of the ballpark. These are very important days for Chris Young. Juan Lagares will probably be back later this week. Certainly Chris Young's Mets tenure is in jeopardy. He's got a couple of days to seal his spot on this team. So now it's Travis d'Arnaud, who left 2.5 weeks ago lugging that 180 batting average and made full use of the 16 games he played in Las Vegas. There are your home run hitters. d'Arnaud hit .436 with 6 home runs and 16 RBIs in his 15 games in AAA. And he swings at the first one, looking for back to back to back.
I think Mr. Kazmir at some point is going to throw something inside here.
Kazmir began the night having given up only 6 home runs this season in 95 innings.
Well, they moved d'Arnaud, who had big trouble covering the outside corner when he was here. And this gets a foul tip right off the mask. Wake up. You're on Eastern time.
Kazmir ahead 0-2. And d'Arnaud takes it wide. Now, it's been a while since the Mets hit 3 home runs in a row. Got to go back to 07. Delgado, Wright, and Loduca. What's Loduca doing hitting behind Delgado and Wright? Not this time. d'Arnaud strikes out for the first out of the inning. Second strikeout for Kazmir.
Fastball outside corner, swing and a miss. Fastball outside corner, swing and a foul tip. Fastball up and away, ball 1. Fastball down and away, swing and a miss.
If you look at the heat charts on d'Arnaud when he was up earlier this year, all of his hits came on pitches inside. The book is work him away.
Right, and that's what he worked on in AAA. Moved a slight bit closer to the plate.
Well, d'Arnaud was interviewed before the game and said he felt as though his troubles before he went down were 95% mental and only 5% mechanical. Out a dump swing into right center for the Mets' 4th hit of the inning. And that's probably true of most young players when it comes right down to it, isn't it?
Gary, when you don't know if you belong, and I've been in the same boat as this young man, so I can speak to this, you just start putting so much pressure on yourself, and it is 90% half mental. Excuse me, Yogi.
Nicely done.
Very good.
Here's Colon coming off his uproarious double against St. Louis. Up there to bunt, and he gets down a nice one. Now that's 3 sacrifices in the last 2 games for Bartolo. 5-3 on the sack, so he gets the job done again.
You remember how brutal he was his first couple starts bunting?
And what does that tell
he
you?
hasn't been working on it?
Yeah, it tells you he has been. Look, he's pounding his heart like, whoo, thank God I got it down. Takes it so easy. A lot better square round. Remember how he used to kind of lean back and not want any piece of that bunt? Well, okay, he's still leaning back a little, but not as much.
He's still carrying his bat to first base.
I got rid of it.
Well, he gets it after a quarter of the way down.
He dropped it when he hit the double.
I love it when he does that.
He doesn't like the litter.
So a runner in scoring position for Eric Young, who singled sharply into right center his first time up. That's with 5 hits, first time through the batting order against Scott Kazmir, who came in with the best ERA and the best whip in the American League. EY now 8 for 26 since coming off the disabled list, so he's hitting over 300 in the 8 games since his return. So the Mets have picked up where they left off on Sunday when they had one of their best offensive days of the year. Into foul ground. Moss will watch this one go out of play.
I was away this weekend and I caught the score at the very end of the afternoon and got it on my phone and looked at it and had to relook. What?
Is that 1 or 11?
Exactly.
Well, hitting on the road has been only a small problem for the Mets. Scoring at home, huge problem. Mets are hitting .217 as a team at home, averaging 3.1 runs per game at Citi Field. 0-2 coming to Eric Young. It's taken up and away. That's with 2 home runs, and they came back to back. Log on to sny.tv/Dwayne Reed to print out your coupon for great savings at Dwayne Reed and Walgreens. One-two. Struck him out with a fastball. So Kazmir with 2 strikeouts in the inning, but also gave up 2 home runs. Back-to-back shots. Granderson with a line drive 2-run homer, and Chris Young with a majestic blast to left. 3-0, 3-1 New York after 2. Coco Crisp up for the second time, leading off in the third. Bartolo Colon with the lead for the first time. And he misses with a slider for ball 1. Crisp grounded out to second base his first time. Donaldson and Moss to follow. He's got a first inning run on a Eugenio Cespedes RBI double. Mets with back-to-back home runs from Granderson and Chris Young in the second. Bartolo Colon tonight bidding for career victory number 197. Whoa. There are 2 pitchers active who have more wins than Colon. That would be Tim Hudson, who's at 212. CC Sabathia at 208. Colon and Mark Burley each start the night with 196.
Well, that's a beautiful record. 63 games over 500 is great, folks.
4 from 2.
Behind 3-0. Chris taking all the way, and that's a strike.
Gotta believe July he's going to get it. The way he's been pitching, Mr. Colon.
Well, Colon over the last 6 starts, 5-0 with a 1.66 ERA. And never better than in St. Louis last Wednesday. Popped up. Young started back with plenty of time to get under it. 1 out. Well, last year Bartolo Colon was wearing the green and gold. There he is in Oakland colors. Same fastball.
You mentioned something, though, Gary, earlier. He threw about 85, sometimes 90% fastballs last season in an A's uniform. He's changed it up a lot recently in those last 6 starts. He talked about the sliders up about double the total it was before.
See what he did last year. 18 wins, second in the American League, 3 shutouts. Josh Donaldson fouls it off. Well, for the year, for this season, Colon is averaging 11% sliders, but over the last 6 starts, it's 17%. So he has incorporated that pitch more, clearly to his benefit. I mean, he had some starts early this season when he was successful just throwing fastballs, but he also hit a rut there and had to change the program a little bit.
The wake-up call was in Anaheim against the Los Angeles Angels. He just, you know, got rocked, I believe, 4 home runs that day, and said, you know, I'm a pro, veteran, I need to change the program a little bit, and he was able to change it on the fly. These A's don't get cheated, do they? Each one of them with a big swing.
Now, they lead the American League in walks, while the Mets lead the National League in walks, but the difference is that the A's hit home runs. Chili Davis, their hitting coach.
He's one of the great pros of all time, Chili. 350 home runs.
He owned Dwight, did he not?
He did.
He did.
He did. And he had the great quote, too. After somebody asked him, how do you hit so well against the great Dwight Gooden? Chili said, he ain't God, man.
That's Chili.
One of the great quotes of all time. Here's the 1-2, and Donaldson takes just off the plate.
Chili, who was born in Kingston, Jamaica, always had a little bit of that irate cool about him. You know, always did.
He was a good guy. Always had a smile on his face.
Yep.
Very pleasant. Enjoyed playing against him. One of the guys you wish you could play with.
2-2 coming, and Donaldson takes just inside. Full count.
See if we see a little of that number you were talking about, a little 3-2 slider against this home run hitting Donaldson. Darno. So there you go with the slider. Colon and I were thinking together.
Toward the hole, Tejada on the back end. Plenty of time to plant. 2 out. Ruben has looked so sharp defensively.
Nice backhand, which is not his strength, something he's had to work on over the years to improve. But makes it look like an old pro there.
You know what I like, Keith? He used to kind of walk into that throw on his backhand. Now when he fields the ball, he's ready to throw with 1.5 steps. Makes the play look easy.
Two out and nobody on. Brandon Moss the batter, and the Mets again will shift against him, despite the fact that Moss dorked one into left for a hit his last time, and he hits this one to left. Eric Young angling, and it's hit better than he thought, and he has to make a brilliant catch to bail himself out. Young was drifting, but fortunately for Eric, he's got enough speed to overcome his mistake, and he made a great play to turn that misplay into an out. Talk about making something great out of something bad. Nicely done by EY. 3-1 New York. with MLB.com at bat on your favorite mobile phone or tablet. Get live look-ins, instant replays, scores, stats, audio, free MLB.tv game of the day, and more. Download on the App Store or visit Mets.com today. Daniel Murphy leads off in the home third, takes a slider off the plate. Murphy, Wright, and Campbell for the Mets in the third. Scott Kazmir had not given up a home run to a left-hand hitter all season before Curtis Granderson took him deep in the second. And then Chris Young added a home run to boot. Mike Breen is here tonight, big Mets fan.
With his son Matt to his right.
Mike is one of the all-time greats, and what a tremendous guy.
What a talent too, right?
Yeah.
Just a pleasure listening to him do games.
Has become the definitive voice of the NBA.
That's right. Yes.
Couldn't happen to a nicer guy. 3-1. Murphy hits one toward the middle. Lowry can't get it. Base hit for Daniel Murphy. His 93rd hit of the year, which leads the National League. And the Mets' 6th hit off Kazmir.
Just out of the reach of Lowry.
So the Mets have led off each of the first 3 innings with a base hit. Last year they faced Kazmir for 6 innings, got only 4 hits.
You know, this team, if you look at Oakland, the only Achilles heel you can see, yeah, their outfielders can throw out runners, 21 assists, but they don't have a lot of speed in the infield. They don't cover a lot of ground, and they've made 55 errors.
Second most errors in the American League. Here's David Wright. He takes one the other way, and that's a fair ball going into the corner. Murphy heads to third. Reddick digs it out. Murphy will stop at third, and Wright pulls in at second base with an opposite field double. And the Mets are in business again here in the third.
Well, the Mets look rejuvenated. That's a fastball, outer half down. And when David goes the other way, and we know David kills lefties anyway, those are always promising signs. David had a terrific road trip to break out. Murph on the break here. Trying to lose the right fielder in the corner there, but a good relay in. You won't want to run yourself out of an inning. Second and third with nobody out. You would take that.
8-game hitting streak for Wright, his 19th double of the year. The Mets are swinging the bats the way they did Sunday in Miami. Here's Eric Campbell, and he takes that one inside.
Kazmir has not used that curveball yet that he uses against right-handed hitters.
Campbell hit a double into the right field corner his first time up. Middle infielders back for the A's, already down 3-1. But they've got a lot of confidence in their offense. And it's scooped out of the dirt by Stephen Vogt. 2-0.
I don't know if we mentioned this. It's important to note that the one game that Kazmir got ejected was back in May 17th. Back in May 17th in Cleveland. Against Cleveland, and Jerry Lane was the home plate umpire that gave him the boot. So this is the first time that Jerry Lane's been behind the plate since that Kazmir's pitched. So kind of interesting little side note there.
Well, the Mets have certainly been swinging against Kazmir and hitting rockets all over the ballpark. He's behind on Campbell now, 3-0 with Granderson on deck, and Eric takes a strike. So the hole getting a little deeper for Scott Kazmir. Came in having allowed only 70 hits in 95 innings, and he's allowed 7 hits in 2 innings plus. And nothing cheap. Good swing by Campbell, and he fouls it off.
That's a good pitch by Kazmir there. It's a fastball count. You're sitting on it, but he beat him inside.
Only once this year has Scott Kazmir given up more than 3 runs in a game. And that was 4 against the Mariners back on May 5th. So he's been that consistent. He hasn't had too many nights that have begun like this.
Not being surprised with the changeup away.
3-2 coming to Campbell. And he fouls it off, and there was the changeup. Kazmir on top of the pack in the American League in earned run average, ahead of Masahiro Tanaka, who took his second loss the other day. And Hernandez got great run support yesterday. He's 9-2 now.
Talk about the cream rising to the top.
That's some serious cream right there.
Right.
7th pitch of the at bat to Campbell. down to third. Donaldson handles it. Runners hold. 1 out.
Straight change, sinking down the middle, outer half. But there's the grip right there. Ronnie, circle change?
Yeah, just buried in his hand also. But you see that forefinger and thumb do not touch. It's open. Better control that way.
So now Granderson, who rifled a 2-run homer his first time up. First base open. Chris Young on deck. And the first pitch slider is down for ball 1. Granderson's home run was his 10th of the year, matching Lucas Duda for top honors on the club. Granderson now with 34 runs driven in. He's got 2 in scoring position here. He has been so adept at laying off pitches out of the strike zone these last 6 weeks. Now 3rd in the National League in walks.
Kazmir thought he had that strike right there, and he just took a deep breath, Ronnie, not to get into it with Lane again.
You know, Kazmir is kind of in the role that A.J. Burnett was in Pittsburgh last year, where he's older than everybody on that A's staff. He's 30 years old.
All of 30.
Exactly.
But he's become, you know, Kurt Young, their pitching coach, said he's become a leader. You can see him right now. There's some frustration.
Yep.
He's not used to having all of this traffic on the bases. Personally, you know, he watched Chris Young last year. I don't think he's going to throw a cookie to Granderson, and I think Granderson's going to be swinging 3-0.
I do too.
We've seen him hit 2 home runs on 3-0 pitches this year, and he takes that one on the outside corner. Jerry Lane, who's got a delayed right hand, calls Granderson back.
Yeah, that was the ball. Ball's off the plate. When Curtis is seeing the ball as well as he's seeing it, you know it's a ball.
Look how far his front foot is in front of home plate.
3-1 from Kazmir, and he takes that one for a strike. 3-2.
So Jerry Lane is a very slow strike caller, isn't he? He just takes his time.
And Tim McClellan down for the year. He is number 1 on the slow right hand list. Murphy at third, right at second with 1 out. And the breaking ball bounced toward first. Murphy breaks for the plate, and he will score on the ground out by Granderson to make it 4-1 New York. Murphy running on contact. Ball hit slowly enough that he scores easily with the 4th man run. 3rd RBI of the night for Granderson.
Well, with with Campbell up prior and nobody out was no contact, Murph held, and rightly so. But with 1 out, you put the contact play on. So as a runner, you just want to make sure that it's not a line drive. If it is a line drive, you got to hold and you got to see it through the infield into the outfield before you go home.
So right now at third with 2 out, here's Chris Young, who had a long home run to left field his first time up, his 5th of the year. Chris Young now has 4 career at bats against Scott Kazmir, 3 for 4 with 2 home runs. This is his time to shine.
Kazmir, you can just see his body language, and I think catchers Stephen Voigt saw it too, and just is going to have a chat with him. He just can't get a rhythm. There's Bob Melvin, skipper of this ball club.
Not seen his pitchers give up much this year. A staff ERA of 3.02, by far the best in the American League, and that's with having lost 2 starters to Tommy John surgery, A.J. Griffin and Jared Parker, and lost another starter recently, Drew Pomeranz, who punched a chair and broke his non-pitching hand. So they've had to dig a little deeper, and their pitching has been tremendous. Kazmir behind 2-0 on Chris Young. Now it's well up high, 3-0.
With their 47 wins, they have the luxury of delaying Sonny Gray, one of their best young pitchers, a start, because he leads the team in innings.
He was going to pitch tonight and Kazmir tomorrow, but they pushed Gray back to Saturday. Kazmir behind 3-0 for the 3rd straight hitter. There's a strike. Those were slated to be 2 of the A's top starters this year, Jared Parker and A.J. Griffin. Griffin went down in spring training and Parker shortly thereafter.
A's do a better job than anyone concentrating and playing with the people they have, not talking about the people they don't have.
Because they have different people every year. Here's a 3-1 on the way. Pulled foul. I mean, they only have two on their 25-man roster who were originally signed by the A's.
And have not used one rookie all season long.
They're the only team in the majors that has not used a rookie. I mean, they specialize in bringing in guys who they think have an upside. And it's worked. Kazmir is one of those guys. Had a great second half for the Indians last year. 3-2 to Chris Young, and that's inside ball 4. First walk given up by Kazmir, and now runners at the corners for d'Arnaud.
He didn't want to face Chris Young there. To me, he didn't want to face him.
Well, sometimes you get a home run off a guy, and I don't understand why they give me right. Boo is the word. I agree. I don't understand it. So we'll see what young Travis does here.
d'Arnaud in his first at bat back from the minor leagues, struck out his first time up. Last time that Travis played for the Mets, it was June the 6th, 18 days ago. And back in the big leagues.
Leads him off with a changeup. Remember, threw him all fastballs away last at bat to strike him out.
Every position player for the Mets other than d'Arnaud already has a hit in this game.
There was a pitch to hit right there. Fastball down the pipe.
Interesting, the modification they got on Travis d'Arnaud. He went to the minor leagues to get him closer to the plate. They moved his back foot closer to the plate, not his front foot.
This is down the pipe, and he's still, I just want to see him get on top of the ball. You can see the back foot. He's more straight at the pitcher. You can't even say it's open stance or closed.
One and two to d'Arnaud.
He is just trying to find it, isn't he, Ronnie Kazmir?
It's just frustration written all over his face. You know, when you've had a magical year like he's had, you're not used to, like I said, all this traffic.
Hit in the air to left field. That's deep. That goes Cespedes looking up, and it's out of here. Welcome back to the big leagues, Travis. 3-run bomb for Travis d'Arnaud, and it's 7-1 New York. d'Arnaud picks up where he left off in the Pacific Coast League. His 4th home run of the year. The Mets' 3rd home run of the night.
Well, how sweet it is.
Scott Kazmir had given up 6 home runs in 95 innings this year. He's given up 3 home runs in 3 innings tonight.
And in a ballpark that's big, and we'll do the pitching sequence. Slider down and in, strike 1. Fastball down the pipe, 0-2. Up and away fastball, bad changeup. And he knew it. Up, inner half, and he hit it where he should have hit it. Nicely done.
You know, Keith, interesting choice of pitches. d'Arnaud's first at bat, he blew him away on fastballs away and decided to come back with that changeup. Okay, bad location, but interesting choice after you've blown someone away.
Tejada goes down on the curveball, and that ends the inning. But the Mets with another productive inning. Most runs Scott Kazmir has given up in a game this year. Granderson, Chris Young, and now d'Arnaud all go deep, and it's 7-1 New York. An offensive juggernaut, 11 runs on Sunday and 7 more against Scott Kazmir tonight.
It might be
that's all for Kazmir.
Sayonara?
Yeah.
Again, the bullpen going now. Bob Melvin at the end of the dugout talking to his starter. Yoenis Cespedes leads off in the 4th and takes below the knees, ball 1. Cespedes drove in the Oakland run with a booming double to center field his first time up.
Now you've got your nice 6-run cushion for Mr. Cologne here.
Well, what do you make of the Mets? I mean, this is a team that has struggled to score all year long, particularly at home. They had an off day yesterday after a big offensive day Sunday, and they've come out booming against a guy who has been dominating the American League. Jim Johnson up in the bullpen for Oakland, their former closer.
Well, a road trip that started off poorly, losing the first 2 games in St. Louis, and then winning the last one on getaway day, and then 3 out of 4 in Miami. Do you sense a little energy here, Gary? I do. I think it's the first time I sense a bit of energy in the pinstripes.
I think that if you're playing in the National League East and you haven't played your best baseball and you're hanging around, you're saying to yourself, you know, boys.
Cespedes has his 2nd hit of the night.
I think you say to yourself, pick yourself up. It's a chance for us to get back in it.
Well, Kevin Burkhardt is back with us. Kevin, how are you, sir? Oh, we'll turn on his microphone one of these days.
You know.
After
a few years it works. Hey, good to be back with you guys as always on this fine night. You know, you're talking a lot about d'Arnaud, and clearly it helps when he hits a 3-run home run. He was really confident for the game, though. You know, all the questions, of course, from all of us about coming back and what does he expect, and he just said, you know, when I got sent down, I really had a long conversation with myself in the mirror. There's one that I kept private, but I needed it. It was just too much technical stuff and not worrying about the 90-mile-an-hour baseball that was traveling my way.
Right.
And yeah, his numbers in AAA look great. Who cares? He said, you know what I was pleased with, I made hard contact down there. And the other thing now, as we watch him catch Bartolo Colon, Bob Guerin told me, you know, considering how bad he was going at the end there, he was really slumping. Maybe the best I've ever seen at not taking his bad offense onto the defensive side. We were completely pleased with how he was calling a game, how he was handling the pitching staff and the game plan. Because I asked guys, is there any plans today, I don't know, maybe to take some of the pressure off him defensively so he could feel better about the offense? Not at all. They were totally happy where he was at that point of his game when he got sent down.
Well, it could be saturation, Kev. I thought you were very astute as a fly ball to left field and picking up what I picked up when I read the articles and his quotes in the paper this morning. Too much on his mind, not focused on a 90-mile-an-hour fastball. You can get too much. Everybody gives you this advice when you're in a slump. That is the last thing you need. Sometimes you just got to clear your head and focus on the baseball coming in at 89 to 97 miles an hour.
You know what, Keith, when you and Kevin were in San Francisco, you put up a graphic about Mets lowest batting averages in their first whatever number of at-bats d'Arnaud had. And what struck me was that, including d'Arnaud, I think 3 of the 5 lowest initial batting averages were catchers. It's got to be so hard to be a young catcher and come to the big league level and absorb everything. And there you go. Greg Goosen was a catcher. Johnny Stevenson was a catcher. Todd Hundley was a catcher. So 4 of the 5 are catchers. And it's got to be so difficult to do everything that's necessary to be a big league catcher and also hit.
And we made the comments that maybe a young rookie catcher, that it's too much, and maybe you have a Bob Guerin call a game for a while till he learns, take that onus off of his back and let him focus on the offense, and then let him learn through experience how to pitch certain hitters. Now, I know they got all the computer stuff and all that, but it's always good to use your brain, file it back there.
You know, to add to that, you know, Guerin in our conversation today said, you know, the one thing about him and why we had a hard time sending him down, after innings, he would come in, he wasn't talking about at bats, he wasn't thinking about bats, he was thinking about, okay, what happened on that 2-strike pitch, or how come I didn't do this defensively? He said I never saw him in the dugout talking about his offense or thinking about his offense. So yeah, I think you guys are onto something. It is a lot for a young guy to handle both.
Well, Terry Collins had some interesting comments. He said sending him down that league, that level is a great confidence builder. And he said with confidence, you can do a lot of things. And we saw it right there.
2-2 to Jed Lowry with 1 out and 1 on. And Colon goes to the off-speed pitch and strikes out Lowry. That's his first strikeout of the night.
That little slider you were talking about, Gary, this one backdoor to Lowry. You know, I kind of rushed what I was trying to say, and I said it poorly. You were saying about energy. The man, well, a day off, that helps, okay? And secondly, I think if you are a thinking man's player and you're thinking in baseball-ese, you have 19 games to the break. This is a time to push. Push as hard as you can for 19 games. See where you're at the All-Star break.
I think also there's got to be some incentive when the team with the best record in baseball comes to town. You know, you like to measure yourself against the best. And
absolutely.
Over the last few years, the Mets have had a tendency to play better against the better teams. Josh Reddick fouls it off. 1-1. Well, the A's have a 5-game lead in the very much more competitive than earlier in the season AL West, because the Angels are playing better. The Mariners have been playing very well lately. So the A's are not home free despite being 18 games over 500.
No, by any stretch of the imagination.
The Angels have so much talent. And the Mariners have King Felix. Golfed out to left field. Over toward the line comes Young. And that retires the side. So Colon works around the leadoff hit. We've played 3.5, and oh, the ice cream man is here. What's this? Good humor.
Good humor every 4th inning.
Oh, we got the strawberry shortcake.
I love
one
the,
of my favorites.
I love the outfit.
That red bow tie looks nice on you.
This is.
As we enjoy our good humor ice cream.
Don't talk with your mouth full.
Nick Punto comes to the game at shortstop. He'll bat 9th, and the former closer for the A's, now long man, Jim Johnson.
Well, you see his ERA almost 6 as Jim Johnson tries to refine or find his old ways. 101 saves the last 2 seasons with the Baltimore Orioles.
Alone drives one into left field, and he's got another hit. He has become an offensive threat.
I don't know how he's not batting 8th personally.
Well, you know, after hitting the pitcher 8th with DeGrom and Nice, Terry Collins was asked the other day whether he'd consider hitting Colon 8th off his fine offensive performance in St. Louis. He said, come on, he's 1 for his last 44. Well, now he's 2 for his last 45.
They're going to play way behind Bartolo, and rightly so.
That's not even a token hold on.
I'd like to see him take it.
Can you imagine?
This place will go crazy.
Well, Bob Melvin was quoted yesterday or Sunday talking about the prospect of facing Cologne. Of course, Melvin managed him the last couple of years. He said, well, we'll walk him a couple of times. I'd like to see him run the bases. Well, he didn't have to walk him. Cologne took care of his own path to getting on base.
Kevin, you all right down there?
Yeah, we almost lost our colleague.
I am alive.
Now, Johnson's got the sinker going. The question is, what happened to Jim Johnson? How did he go from being such a successful closer and losing his job with the A's in that role forthwith?
You know, I mentioned the 101 saves, but he also blew a lot of saves for Baltimore when they were going down the stretch trying to stay in the race. And you know, I think he's like any other pitcher guy. I think he's lost his confidence.
Little chopper. Off the mound comes Johnson. And Young is out at first as Cologne moves up. So a productive out for Eric Young, moving the big base runner to second. Now, we've yet to see Bartolo have to run really hard. Remember when he hit his double in St. Louis, he kind of jogged to second, and then he scored on a double by Eric Young, and he kind of jogged home. I'd love to see him have to really bust it.
Well, good luck, because it's not going to happen.
Okay.
He has a little 1/3 of his total speed that he's going at.
So you're saying if Murph wants an RBI, he better find a gap.
Hit a double.
Or a Baltimore chop up the middle.
It's like video baseball. If he's going to move 2 bases, you got to hit 2 bases.
Murphy 1 for 2, single to start a 4-run third inning. And he grounds that one toward the hole. Callaspo runs it down. And that's the second out as Cologne jogs over to third.
Donaldson gives a low 5 to Cologne. There's the double in St. Louis, Keith.
Well, that's not Speedy Rodriguez. It's his cousin, Slow Post Rodriguez. Easily stand-up double.
Well, Cologne is now at third. When he scored from second base in St. Louis Wednesday, it was the first run scored of his 17-year Major League career. Does he have another one in him?
That's almost impossible. I mean, really, right?
David Wright grounds one behind the bag at third. That's a fair ball. Donaldson with a long throw to get right. And that keeps Cologne from coming home. Bartolo entertaining everybody. He's got a 7-1 lead. tomorrow's Mets-A's finale here at Citi Field. Plus, bring you all the latest on Carmelo Anthony and the Knicks. World Cup. Do they talk World Cup on this show? Daily News Live, presented by Citi, tomorrow at 5, only on SNY. The rest of the world's talking about the World Cup, not Daily News Live. Sure, there'll be a tidbit or two about the U.S.-Germany game coming up Thursday. Let's check in with Kevin.
Unlike the World Cup, I won't go biting anybody in this report, so you're safe there. You know, the A's, obviously not their night so far, but it's really been an unbelievable run for Bob Melvin since he's been there. I mean, first place, and now with the record they have with 47 wins coming in, they have good players, probably better than most people realize, but there's also something to it when you're doing what you're doing. Winning 94, then 96, and again already with 47 wins. He said, yeah, you know, we do have good players, but it is about buying into what we're trying to do. He said some of that includes getting pinch hit for early in a game and being hungry to play and hungry to do whatever is asked of you. I think that's a part of it. He said it's also our philosophy. If we have a guy who's really describing a platoon situation here, if we have one guy who's really, really good doing one thing, our organizational philosophy is find a guy who can complement him and do the other thing really, really well. And that's what works with our roster. He said, you know, managing the National League, I think it's actually easier to do with the American League roster because you don't have to save guys for later in games. Campbell put this one away. Cayaspo takes a seat, and there's one down. Nick Punto had an interesting take. The veteran has been around, guys, right? I mean, St. Louis, Minnesota, Dodgers last year, Oakland. He said this team is cohesive. They're hungry. And there is a chip on the shoulder. He said, I'll tell you what, there is an East Coast chip on our shoulder in here. He said, I know it sounds funny, but you know, the fact that half of the country doesn't get to see us play, that half the country doesn't know what we are, that quite honestly half the country just thinks that, wow, how does this team win? There are a bunch of nondescripts. He said, we aren't. And it bothers guys in this room. Fellas?
Okay, sure. I can see that.
Here's Punto batting after coming into the double switch. Well, the A's have been blowing people away. They've got by far the best run differential. In fact, if you add up the run differential of the next three teams, Seattle, Washington, and San Francisco, the A's still have the best run differential. Right? That's amazing. Scored the most, given up the least. 0-2 to Punto. The A's move a lot of people around. They'll play people in different positions. You mentioned their three-headed catching situation. They've been able to revitalize the careers of guys who have been asked to alter their games elsewhere. As Punto goes down on strikes, second of the day for Cologne. Their credo is to let guys be themselves as opposed to trying to make them something that they have not always been.
I think there's so many interesting layers to the Oakland A's. I mean, they play in this day and age of suites and beautiful ballparks. They play in one of the most challenged ballparks in all of baseball. They've had well documented, just look it up, things that have happened in that ballpark. It's not as cushy for the home team players. They don't get all of the amenities that a lot of the players get in today's game. And I don't know if that makes them hungry or what it does. They can only answer that. But it's a lot of layers to this. Guys coming from different organizations, guys trying to prove themselves, and also I think what you just mentioned, Gary, is that once you get here, they're like, hey, listen, we're going to let you thrive. We're going to put you in positions to thrive, like Kevin said. But we're going to let you do your thing. Josh Donaldson said when he was in the Cubs, they told him how to wear his hair, how to wear his socks, what shoes to wear, and he got to the A's and they said, I don't care what your hair looks like. It's just it's refreshing.
Base hit for Crisp. Good effort by Murphy, but he comes up a little shy. And the A's have their fourth hit.
When you think about it, the A's have, and I wore the uniform, the A's have a history of this. From the 70s teams when they won 3 in a row, they were first ones with long hair, first ones with mustaches. You know, the Reggie Billy North fight in '74.
Well, they've always had a chip on their shoulder, and back when they were winning 3 championships in a row in the 70s, their chip was that they all hated the owner.
That's right.
And that was their rallying point. There's Josh Donaldson, who's 0 for 2.
And I can tell you for a fact that they didn't have a very likable manager in a Hall of Famer in Dick Williams. Right. He was a great manager, but he was irascible. He was. Gene Tennis is a very dear friend. Played with Gene. Gene just said we stayed away from him, but he barked all the time.
You know, they share the Coliseum with a football team.
Right, they're the last ones left to do that.
Also very interesting too. The A's came in with the long hair and the beards. Yeah. You think Dick Williams was old school? Dick Williams had the mustache.
Right. Now he was their manager for their first 2 of those 3 straight World Series. Then he quit. He said, "I've had enough of Charlie Finley. He's not paying me enough." Yeah. He left and went to California and then on to Montreal. But Alvin Dark managed the '74 champion team. Cologne strikes out Donaldson, who flips the bat away in frustration. Cologne inducing a lot of that. Halfway through, 7-1 New York. Off that brilliant 1-0 victory in Miami against lefty Brad Mills, who was just acquired from Milwaukee. He'll make his second start for the A's. Eric Campbell leads off the home 5th inning. Mets with a 7-1 lead.
Keith, I wasn't there. What'd you take out of Wheeler's start, other than the obvious?
He spotted his fastball run. It's the same old with him. If he commands gets ahead, he throws so hard, Ronnie. I mean, he was just bringing it down there again, like he always does.
Well, you're telling me he's the one guy that always brings it.
Yes, he doesn't leave his fastball at home. That is a fact. He's not funny. He mentioned how his changeup got him out of a couple spots.
And it did. He used it to strike out Stanton one time.
He used maybe seven changeups max the whole game. He had a nice little backdoor breaking ball on the lefties, but he just spotted that fastball in and out, and that's what he needs to do. And he'll be on his way.
1-2 to Campbell, and Johnson bounces it. The Mets have 9 hits in this game. Each of their starters has 1 hit, top to bottom, including Cologne.
Didn't they have 7 players with 2 hits or more in the game on Sunday?
Yes, they did. Campbell out on strikes. First strikeout for Johnson in relief. Scott Kazmir went 3 innings, allowed 7 runs and 8 hits. SNY Super Slow Motion brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com. It's Granderson, who's driven in 3 runs tonight with a 2-run homer and a ground out.
You know, guys, Curtis Granderson has done a lot right since the beginning of May, but his walk percentage this year is way up. It's over 15%. And I know we've talked about that type of thing ad nauseum with this offense and this philosophy. He really eschewed it as something that's happened on purpose, as he should fly out here. And he does. But he said, look, I think for me, I've always walked in my career, maybe not to this rate, but it's when I'm aggressive. When you're aggressive, he said there is a false thinking that says you can't be aggressive and walk. He said you can be aggressive just on what you want. And that's the big thing that I think I'm doing. Terry Collins said, I think the only thing that he's changed as far as that or his eye or anything, said he's laying off the pitches that are way up here, up at his shoulders. Said he was swinging at that in April. I don't think he is. So it hasn't been a concerted effort. It's just happening by how he's swinging the bat, at least according to him.
Well, that's part of the philosophy, is swinging at what you can hit and not what you can't. Chris Young takes a strike.
The line of demarcation, the turning point for Granderson was the home run drill he brought from hitting coaches of past years, and ever since then he's taken off.
That Kevin Long home run drill. But with Granderson, if you look at where his hits have come, it's everything down. Anything above his thigh, he's got to lay off because he doesn't hit it.
Right, he's a dead low ball hitter. Really like upper thigh down to the knees.
0-2 to Young. Chris fouls one at the plate. Hard sinker by Johnson. That's his pitch.
He's got a good one. The only problem, and if you ask the Orioles, is when you have a closer like Johnson, he's going to give up hits and going to give up balls in play, and that sometimes can hurt you. You always want, preferably, that guy that can blow people away with a strikeout.
That was the John Franco thing. He'd give up more bleeders than any closer around, and he had to work around that because he was a contact pitcher. Well, Johnson gave up a hit to Cologne. He's retired 5 in a row since. Bounces that changeup. 2-2. Chris Young hit his 5th home run of the year. A towering shot into the left field stands in the 2nd. Then he walked and scored in the 3rd against Kazmir, who gave up 3 home runs. He'd given up only 6 all year before tonight, but not Scott Kazmir's night in his first outing in Flushing.
I find Chris Young a low ball hitter also.
Yes. Everybody seems to be a low ball hitter. The old days, where kids growing up, right-handers were predominantly high ball hitters and left-handers were low ball hitters. Now everybody seems to be a low ball hitter.
And Young hits another one deep to left. Back goes Cespedes to the warning track at the wall. It's out of here. 2nd home run of the night for Chris Young. With his back perhaps firmly against the wall, Chris Young responding with a 2-home run night. 8-1 New York.
Wow. Talk about rising to an occasion.
Well, the Mets have been waiting for that, huh?
They really have. There was a report that Chris Young was going to be released. The Mets discounted that, of course. And what's interesting is that Terry Collins in his pregame speech said he was going to go to Chris Young and tell him how important a part of his team he was. Curveball. And he's proven it tonight. Change up for a home run, hanging breaking ball for a home run.
12th time in his career, Chris Young has hit multiple home runs in a game, and he does it against the team he played for last year.
The Mets look like the A's tonight.
Well, it's only the 2nd time this year the Mets have hit 4 home runs in a game. The first one came at Yankee Stadium back on May 12th. First time this year they've hit 4 in a game at home. Travis d'Arnaud has a 3-run shot tonight in his return to the big leagues. Well, the last 2 games, the Mets have been a revitalized offensive team.
Somehow there's some big weight in the dugout that's just fallen.
Well, you've been waiting since the end of April for this team to find a hot streak. Their pitching has been solid. It's kept them in games every day. They've had terrible luck in one-run games. But all of a sudden, their offense these last couple of games has clicked. And that man certainly hopes that'll remain the case. On the corner, 3-2 to Darno. And Travis pokes one back to the mound. Johnson makes the play to end the inning, but Chris Young's second home run makes it 8-1 New York after 5. Now Bartolo Colon now staked to an 8-1 lead as we go to the 6th inning. Part of the batting order up for Oakland. Jim Johnson had retired 5 in a row, but all of a sudden Chris Young loaded up for bear again. Here's Moss, 1 for 2. Eric Young made a circus catch to recover and catch his fly ball to the warning track and left his last time up. It'll be Moss, then Cespedes and Vogt for the A's. As Colon misses a ball and a strike. Well, Colon gave up a first inning run. Moss blooped a single to left. Cespedes hit a booming double to drive him in, and he's given up nothing since.
Moss has got that home run power pull swing. He's all or nothing. He's been mired in a very deep slump. Going on now 26 games under 200.
Cespedes on deck. Nonetheless, 17 home runs for Moss after hitting 30 last year.
I mean, there's a purpose with every pitch. He misses one down the middle, tries to paint him inside to get that called third strike. He misses. Let's see if he goes back to that backdoor slider he struck out Lowry with. Inside, out. Different speeds, up, down.
Moss hits another one to left field, and this time Young gets back quickly to make it an easier play for the first out. Well, if you're just joining us, you've missed home run derby for the Mets. Curtis Granderson spoiling Scott Kazmir's return to Flushing. Chris Young right behind him with the Mets' first back-to-back home runs of the year. And then Kazmir took it on the chin again. Travis d'Arnaud returning to the big leagues with a 3-run homer. Chris Young adds his second of the night. And the Mets rolling offensively for the second straight game, up 8-1 in the 6th. First time the Mets have hit 4 home runs in a game here at Citi Field this season. Here is Cespedes, who's 2 for 2 and is driven in the only Oakland run. Cespedes already with 36 extra base hits this season. Top 10 in the American League in slugging percentage.
.93 there from Bartolo Colon. Hasn't been able to solve Cespedes, so it's going to be interesting back and forth here in this at bat in Colon and Cespedes.
Remember when Cespedes won the home run derby last year, they asked him about Yasiel Puig because Puig was just lighting the world up in his first month or so in the big leagues when Cespedes came here to Citi Field. He was asked how he and Puig would match up in a home run derby. He said, Puig's a line drive hitter. I hit him out of the ballpark.
A good scouting report there, right?
But the Cubans have made such a huge impact in Major League Baseball over this last decade now.
That's a little slider. He takes a little bit off out of the strike zone. I think that pitch was meant to be inside, but Colon missed, and so did Cespedes.
I mean, think about the impact Jose Abreu was having in his first big league season.
22 now.
Got it inside on him, and Cespedes pops it up. And Granderson is there, 2 out. I mean, think about it. Abreu would be hands down the American League Rookie of the Year if it were not for Tanaka.
That's right.
Yeah, we'll see how Colon pitches. Cespedes, fastball right down the middle, 0-1. High fastball meant to be away, 1-1. Knee high outside corner ball, 2-1. Slider baiting down and away. And then what does he do when he's 2-2? Comes in with a fastball up and in and jams him. Nicely done.
So 2 out. Now Stephen Vogt, who twice has flied to left.
He's got some serious pine tar in that helmet.
And the slider in for a strike.
Got to get the rubbing alcohol on that thing and clean it up.
Or not.
Well, that's some nice looking colors, that blue and yellow. Come on. I mean blue, excuse me, green. Ronnie, you're the one that's colorblind.
Zach, what's going on here?
Well, maybe that color knob on your TV had gotten twisted to the right.
I don't think it's contagious.
Pitcher spot due up next. John Jaso is out on deck to be a pinch hitter if Vogt keeps the inning going.
See, Colon Pat himself says, my bad. You called the right pitch. Go right back to it.
90th pitch of the night for Bartolo, and he misses high. 2-2.
I know it's subtle, it's probably hard to see, but every time Colon misses with a pitch, you'll see him ponder and think, because he knows that he did something wrong mechanically, and usually he can fix it by the next pitch.
Your Coldwell Banker home field advantage. Colon has been far more effective at home than on the road.
To me, that ERA, though, you have to take into account, it's really driven up by that game in Anaheim.
One horrific game for Colon.
He's got 3 starts after this to the All-Star break, and could be very well in double digits.
Off the umpire, and that's a foul ball. Joe West gets drilled, and he appears none the worse for it. He's a strong man.
Nice.
Joe can't move.
He's hilarious, isn't he?
You know, Stephen Vogt is like, well, how you sure it's foul?
Oh, that got his tongue. That, I tell you.
Stephen Vogt is thinking, I hit that ball on the screws, and he's not even rubbing. Joe West, tough guy.
Oh, my God, Joe. A little slow reacting. That got him.
Well, he knew he was in foul territory. It's a good call.
Cut him in that delt.
Is that what that is? It's the 2-2. And he goes down on strikes to end the inning. 4th strikeout for Bartolo Colon. Joe West, He-Man, can't be moved. 8-1 New York in the 6th. Baseball on SNY is brought to you by Verizon Fios. Introducing Verizon Fios Quantum TV, redefining what TV can be. That's powerful. New battery for the A's. John Jaso will catch. He'll go in the 6th spot where the pitcher had been, and the new pitcher is the veteran Canadian left-hander Jeff Francis.
Well, you see only in 6 games, so a small mark, but 14 hits. 12 2/3 innings pitched. Francis had some great years in Colorado.
His first outing this year was for the Cincinnati Reds, and they waived him, and the A's picked him up in late May. Ruben Tejada leads off against Francis and takes a strike. It'll be Tejada, then Bartolo Colon and Eric Young for the Mets against the 3rd Oakland pitcher of the night. Scott Kazmir got routed for 7 runs and 8 hits in 3 innings. Jim Johnson went 2, allowed a run on 2 hits, and Tejada's hit by the pitch, and he'll go down to first base. And the Mets get the leadoff man on yet again. That's 5 times in 6 innings.
It's a little slider down and in, and Tejada doesn't move, and it hits him in the left knee.
Still counts if you're hit on the bounce. So Colon, who already has a sacrifice and a base hit tonight after picking up a double and 2 sacrifices in his last start. So he's been successful in 5 consecutive plate appearances. And we'll again be looking to bunt, I would think. Maybe not.
Well,
now, is that one of those it's too big a margin to bunt kind of things?
Well, 8-1, yes, maybe, yes. 6th inning. Absolutely. You don't want to get anybody hurt. What do you think, Ron? Do you agree?
Yeah, I wouldn't bunt here. I'd let him hit.
He might have to run hard now. Oh, they're going to go to first.
He got him over.
Well, maybe they try for 2, but Tejada's now at second base, so it's another productive out for Colon.
The swinging bunt.
He
got rid of the bat quick.
He smiles every time he makes contact. Every time.
You would too. You know, it's really amazing though. You know how hard it is to hit a ball that soft to get the guy over? It's a real art.
So now Eric Young, who's 1 for 3 on the day. The Mets, by the way, with 8 runs. This is the most they've scored in a game at Citi Field this season. They had 7 and a loss on opening day against the Nationals. Had 7 one other time. And Young lines a base hit. That'll send Tejada to third. He'll be held there as Cespedes hits the cutoff man. So Eric Young has another 2-hit game. He's just been raking since coming back.
I'll tell you what, he got off to a bad start in April, and he has just been swinging the bat. And I think he's one of the people that has energized this club. I'm telling you, when you have speedy guys and they get on base, it just is a shot in the arm for the team.
Well, it happened last year when Eric Young came over and Juan Lagares started playing regularly. That's when this team played its best baseball. First and third and 1 out for Murphy, who's 1 for 3.
Anytime you get on a team early, you can bottom feed offensively. The Mets did it in the last game in Miami.
Murphy bloops one, and that's going to fall into no man's land. Tejada in to score, trying for third is Young. The throw is awry, but backed up by Francis. Mets now with a 9-1 lead on Murphy's bloop hit, his 2nd hit of the night.
Well, good base running by Eric Young. It's 8-1, 9-1 on the base hit. He was probably with a good throw going to be out, but it was going to be a close play. You'd take a chance.
That's another error on the A's, right? Gotta be.
I think they're going to call it on the throw.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I mean. To let Murphy go to second.
Correct. Right, but not an error, just second on the throw. That he would have, even on a good throw, he would have gone to second. I think that's what the scorer ruled.
So no error.
No error.
Okay.
All right.
So now David Wright with 2 in scoring position. What a couple of games this has been for the Mets offense. 11 runs and 17 hits Sunday in Miami. 9 runs and 12 hits tonight. against the team with the best staff ERA in the major leagues. Wright doubled and scored a run in the third. 1 for 3 tonight.
All right, David Wright against a struggling left-hander. It's almost not fair.
David is 6 for 14 with 3 home runs in his career against Jeff Francis.
Well, this is what I'm talking about. It's a kind of a gross term, but bottom feeding. You got to jump on these guys that are the 12th and 11th and 10th man on the pitching staff.
Kind of like a catfish. Little number to the right side. That'll get a run in. Wright is thrown out. Young scores. And now it's 10-1 New York. Wright picks up his 40th run batted into the year.
Interesting how maybe individual teams in their own sabermetrics. We see a lot of National League teams that are down by a certain amount of runs, and Wright up in that occasion would have brought the infield in, said no more runs, we're not going to give up anymore. The defense for the Athletics just bad. All you have to do is make contact to get an RBI.
So they're basically conceding.
Yes.
It's kind of like in Miami the other day when the Marlins were 4 behind, 6th inning, and Mike Redmond let his pitcher hit.
Same thing.
At a certain point, you're saying that's enough.
At a certain point, you're saying, hey, offense, if you guys come back and make an unbelievable charge, great. But we'll get you tomorrow.
It's also when your ultimate crying uncle is when you take out your star players and you put in your bench in. You give spell your guys that played every day.
Campbell tops one foul.
How much spell do you need after an off day, though, and they have one on Thursday?
That's true.
By the way, that RBI for David Wright, he's now driven in a run in 7 straight games, which matches the longest streak of his career. He's come a long way in the last week, hasn't he? From that horrific slump that engulfed him for almost a month. Curveball drilled to left field, but Cespedes is there, and that retires the side. But the Mets tack on 2 more, pulling away. 10-1 New York after 6. Who are the only 3 A's pitchers to save 40 games in a season. Chew on that.
Okay, got 2 of them.
John Jaso just double switched into the game. Will get his first plate appearance and takes a strike from Bartolo Colon.
who, by the way, looks like he's going to march right to his 8th victory.
He's certainly got enough run support. This might be his last inning. That's his 95th pitch of the night. Jaso, then Josh Reddick and Alberto Callaspo for the A's in the 7th. So while Kazmir got routed by the organization that traded him away, Cologne has handled the team that failed to re-sign him.
Cologne Young show, isn't it, when you think about it?
You know what the funny thing is? Cologne and Kazmir got almost exactly the same contracts. All right, Cologne got, as Jaso strikes out, that's 5 now for Cologne. Cologne got 2 years and $20 million. Kazmir got 2 years, $22 million.
That's right.
So they could have re-signed Bartolo to the same contract that the Mets did, but they opted to go for the younger arm in Kazmir, who's been doing great. And Cologne has been kicking it in gear for the Mets.
Well, they might have paid $2 more million for 11 less years. I guess that's what happened.
Here's Reddick, first game back from the disabled list. He's walked and flied out 0 for 1. Josh Reddick from Middle Georgia College. Also a Boston draft pick, 17th rounder. He had 375 at bats for Boston, hit 248 with 10 home runs. 2 years ago for the A's, 32 homers, 85 RBIs. Tailed off last year with a couple of wrist injuries that probably curtailed his production.
Well, I think also what happened with Reddick is that the Red Sox went out and purchased some free agent outfielders, and he kind of got pushed out. And with the A's, we've seen him. He's like the Jackal. He always has a different look. The long beard, the long hair, short hair, no beard.
He's been battling a knee injury. That's what knocked him out on the DL. There's strike 3 called, and Reddick knew it. 3 strikeouts in a row now for Cologne, like he's just getting started. From the latest on Carmelo Anthony to Phil Jackson's plans for the draft, get up to the minute Knicks news with insider info and opinion on the KnicksBlogs.com, the KnicksBlog.com, part of the SNY.TV blog network. Now Alberto Callaspo, who has hit into a fielder's choice and grounded out to first, 0 for 2. Mets trying to make it 5 wins in their last 6 games. Most of that was done with great pitching, but the last 2 games, an offense that had been lying dormant has hit double digits in back-to-back games.
Well, like we talked about, the A's showed that graphic in the open. Combination here tonight. Great pitching from Cologne and the great offense. A big smile on Lamar Johnson's face. Why not? Enjoy it.
Top down to first. Easy play for Campbell. That retires the side. 7 in a row retired by Cologne. That gets us to the 7th inning stretch. All Mets tonight. From second base to first base. Eric Sogard comes in to play second base. Brandon Moss moves from first base to left field, and Yoenis Cespedes moves from left field to center field. Not pictured. That's Jeff Francis. He's on the mound for a second inning.
I think they've cried uncle.
So Crisp came out, and Sogard will hit in Crisp's #1 spot in the batting order. Curtis Granderson up for the 4th time. A home run and a ground out tonight have produced 3 RBIs for Granderson. And Chris Young, who's already having a huge night, is on deck. Now Chris Young, we've talked about this how many times, right?
I'm waiting.
He's got a chance to do something that no Met has ever done, ever. Granderson is out on strikes. 1 out. No Met, and they're in their 53rd season. Look at the swinging strike. No Met has ever hit 3 home runs in a home game. Not at the Polo Grounds, not at Shea, and not at Citi Field. And that's what Chris Young has a chance to do tonight. Now, Chris Young does have a 3 home run game in his career. He did that in Colorado in 2009. And he's got a chance to do it tonight. Young with 2 home runs. He's also walked. He scored 3 runs tonight. Came into the night with 4 home runs. And he's bettered that by 50%. And Francis keeping the ball away to him. 2-0. High fly ball, deep left center. Cespedes back to the warning track. At the wall, he makes the catch. Chris Young comes up shy by that much.
Second inning, first at bat right here. A changeup up, out over the plate, bomb. There's a walk in the second at bat, and in the third at bat, a hanging breaking ball from Johnson. That's his second home run of the day. 5 and 6 on the day. It almost hit his 3rd right here. It looked like another change, Ron.
Another change. Gary, you bounced past it to him. He couldn't lay it in. Almost.
He might have one more at bat. You never know. Curveball for a strike to Darno, who has a 3-run homer tonight in his return to the major leagues. After 2.5 weeks away, honing his swing in Las Vegas. Goes after the changeup, and it's 0-2. Well, Chris Young's got to feel awfully good about this game. Every bat a quality one. Darno is struck out. Jaso makes the toss. That completes the inning. So a couple of strikeouts for Francis. And that sends us on to the 8th. Mets cruising 10-1. Pittsburgh. 4 games with the Pirates, 3 in Atlanta before the Mets come home to play the Rangers in their final homestand before the All-Star break. Nick Punto up for the second time, and Bartolo Colon still out there chucking in the 8th, up over 100 pitches for the night, looking for his 6th consecutive win and well on his way. Punto struck out in his only at bat after coming out on a double switch. By the way, the last time the Mets scored double-digit runs in back-to-back games, remember that series in Detroit in 2011?
The Grand Slams?
The game they hit 2 Grand Slams. It's Jason Bay and Carlos Beltran in one game. They had a 14-3 win and a 16-9 win in June of 2011. That's the last time the Mets had back-to-back double-digit output. Punto down on strikes. Colon just hitting his stride. He has struck out 4 of the last 5 hitters, 7 for the night. SNY's Play Ball program moves from baseball to football, partnering with the New York Jets to help local youth football leagues with equipment donations, clinics, and Jets game experiences. The deadline for applications is this Friday, June 27th. If you know a local youth football league in need, apply today at facebook.com/SNY. This is Eric Sogard, who you might remember David Wright beat out this spring for the face of Major League Baseball.
The face of Major League Baseball, no one knew his face, which is amazing.
It was kind of an ambush campaign, guerrilla campaign.
Yeah, why not?
On Sogard's behalf, but MLB Network, which ran the poll, breathed a big sigh of relief that David was able to beat out Eric Sogard.
Gary, I'm a little slow. I was a little off my game today. We had a full day of stuff.
Yeah.
What stat did you just give?
Murphy throws out Sogard for the second out. Last time the Mets had back-to-back double-digit run totals. 2011.
3 years ago?
3 years ago. Now we're still looking. We're still on Dave Freed to find out the last time the Mets had back-to-back double digits at home. Because I don't think they've done that at Citi Field before.
That is amazing.
In fact, this is only the 10th time the Mets have scored double-digit runs in 6 years at Citi Field.
That's just amazing to me.
So we probably have to go back to the Shea days.
Just take it for granted. This strike thrower just makes it. He makes it look so easy. Like, you want to take your time, fine. I'm just doing my thing. I'm going to throw it on the corners. I'm going to change speeds a little bit and keep the ball down.
Donaldson fouls it back, and it's 0-2.
Occasionally I'll reach back and throw it 93, but mostly I'm just going to sink it and let you get yourself out.
He's thrown 8 pitches in this inning, 8 strikes.
He smells it. He's going for the harpoon.
0-2. On the outside corner, Donaldson caught looking. Bartolo Colon's 8th strikeout. He struck out 5 of the last 7 batters. Talk about finishing strong. pitchers have saved 40 or more games in a season? I'll show you
Fingers.
the answer in a moment after Ruben Tejada hits a one-hopper to Josh Donaldson. Gold Glove candidate, throws him out, one away.
Is it Fingers, Eck, and Isringhausen?
Sounds like a good guess.
I know it's Eck and
I would have to go with you, Ronnie.
Fingers might be wrong.
Oh, gee. Wow, we're terrible. Muy malo.
Izzy never saved 40 for the A's, huh? I would have thought that too.
Brutal on my part. It's been a real tough day.
That would have been a stumping question today, earlier.
Wilmer Flores bats for Bartolo Colon. Well, what Keith is alluding to is that earlier today we taped for later broadcast the Battle of the Broadcasters, a Mets trivia battle between ourselves and the WOR radio crew. It was a pitched battle. It was an enormous amount of fun, but it's been a long day.
Yes, it has been a long day.
I mean, our brains have been wired. I mean, there was a lot of pressure today.
There was.
We just don't think that much during the day.
Well, also, you know, people ask you a question and you have time to think about it, or it's off the top of your head, but when it's presented to you with lights on and an audience and TV cameras,
It's a chance to choke.
it's a lot of pressure.
I tell you, it was worth it just to see Josh Lewin and Seth Everett in a sports coat. That was worth it for me. Just that view.
Oh, geez.
And the good humor man. Summer of joy from good humor. Flores gets jammed, and Donaldson throws him out, 2 down. Let's check in with the studio. Steve Gelbs is standing by for a game break brought to you by the New York State Smokers Quit Line. Interesting news for the Pirates today. They got Neil Walker back from the disabled list. To make room, they outrighted Jose Tabata to AAA. Didn't just send him down. They took him off the 40-man roster. And then tonight during the game, Starling Marte suffered a concussion. So they might have a little bit of a problem there if that turns out to be serious. Here's Eric Young with 2 out.
If it's serious, are you, because of injury, allowed to bring Tabata back up?
But you have to get him back on the roster now.
Which means he has to go through waivers?
Well, we went on waivers to go down.
Go down, okay.
But I don't know if they now have room on their 40-man roster. They might have to create space.
Yep.
They have a good option, and Harrison has done a great job for them. They can put him in the outfield.
Play just about anywhere. Of course, the Mets will be playing the Pirates day after tomorrow. There's your Chrysler Mets box score. It's a busy one. 4 home runs for the Mets tonight, including a pair for Chris Young, his first multiple home run game as a Met. Granderson and Darno have also gone deep. Darno is a 3-run shot.
You know, I've learned about that box score. It's the right part of it. If the right part of it is all filled with runs scored and RBIs, and you know you've had a good day. Look at Terry, almost a laugher.
Well, he finally gets one, huh?
2 in a row.
How about that?
Now, it was Keith who asked him the other day, when are you going to have a game you don't have to manage? and day after day he's in 2-1 games and 1-0 games, and finally on Sunday he had some breathing room, and now 2 in a row.
Just sit there and kick back and watch a ball game.
You know he's still worrying, don't you? Even at 10-1 in the 8th. Young strikes out, inning over. Good relief outing for Francis, who retires his final 8. Vic Black will try and finish it off as we go to the 9th. On SNY is brought to you by Cholula Hot Sauce. The hot sauce with the iconic wooden cap, available in original flavor, chili lime, chili garlic, and chipotle. By Chrysler, visit your local dealer today for great deals on the entire stylish lineup, including the Chrysler 200. And by State Farm, today's State Farm agent of the game is Pat Cawley of Glendale, New York. Contact Pat's office at patcawley.com. By the way, as Vic Black gets set to pitch the ninth, the Battle of the Broadcasters will be airing on SNY July 10th. Mark it on your calendar.
Very nice. Vic Black, you can see his numbers for the year. Interesting on Bartolo Colon. 8 innings pitched, 8 Ks, 8 groundouts, 8 flyouts.
He allowed 1 run and 4 hits, 1 walk with those 8 strikeouts. ERA down to 3.67 and about to go to 8-5 on the season.
That's right. I was going to say, all those 8s. I was going to say 8th win.
It's another one.
Yahtzee.
Black had a rough outing his last time out in Miami. It was the game on Friday night. He was charged with the 2 runs. Broken bat bloop, and David Wright hurries in to grab it to retire Brandon Moss for the first out. By the way, we mentioned that the Mets, last time they scored double digits back-to-back games was 2011 in Detroit. As you look at Geico Sports Night coming up tonight after the post game, Chris Carlin will be talking Knicks, and he'll be looking at the effects of Rogaine. Thanks, Chris. Here's Yoenis Cespedes. The last time the Mets had double-digit run games at home was at Shea Stadium in September of 2008, and that's what they'll be shooting for tomorrow.
2008. They're not even in the. You got to go to an old stadium to get there.
So if they can get 10 tomorrow, it would be the first time ever at Citi Field that they would have back-to-back double-digit game. And they'll be facing a journeyman left-hander, Brad Mills, tomorrow night. See if he can do better than Scott Kazmir, who got beat up tonight in his first ever outing in Flushing. Cespedes 2 for 3, a single, a double. He's driven in a run. And it looks like Jeff Francis is going to take a turn back. Now, there are 2 players left in the dugout for Oakland. Norris, the catcher, got whacked in the head Sunday, and Craig Gentry. Now, I don't know if there's anything wrong with Gentry, but perhaps there is, and maybe that's why Francis is on deck. Good breaking ball by Black.
Hard to take at bats here, Keith, even if you're the pros pro.
Well, you've got a pitcher like Black. You've never faced him. He's got a good hook. He throws hard. You know, never seen him before. You know, advantage pitcher.
Kenny Evelyn and Gonzalez Herman just getting some work in. 1-2. Popped it up. Should be playable for Campbell. 2 out.
Did you hear that from Darnell? Just one simple word. Soup. Campbell's ball.
Easy as soup. Well, this is going to be an odd way for this game to end, if indeed it does right here, with a pitcher batting. So I'd have to imagine there's something wrong with Craig Gentry.
Or his feeling.
We know that Norris is banged up. Derek Norris said before the game that he's feeling okay after getting hit in the head Sunday by the follow through from Jonathan Herrera of Boston, but he's been hit several times.
I was going to say 3 or 4 times. Yeah.
Tomorrow, the final game of this 2-game series. Zach Wheeler tries to back up his shutout against Brad Mills. 6 o'clock on SNY.
Did you say that Norris is thinking about changing his positioning?
But he said before the game today that he's not going to do it. He had said that after the game Sunday, but he talked to the Oakland writers before the game today and said he doesn't think that moving back is going to help. He said even if he was a foot further back when he got hit by Herrera, he still would have gotten hit. So now Black 1 strike away from nailing it down. Two to Francis, who's a lifetime 116 hitter. He struck him out, and the ball game is over. A
dominating performance tonight for the Mets against the team with the best record in baseball. Chris Young hits 2 of the Mets' 4 home runs. Another dominant performance for Bartolo Colon, who wins his 6th in a row. And the Mets roll 10-1 over the A's.
Well, I just call it tonight the 2XA show. Bartolo Colon with his 8th victory and 8 innings pitched, 8 fly balls, 8 ground outs, and the 8 Ks. And Chris Young with the 2 home runs.
And also the return of Travis d'Arnaud, went 1 for 4 on the night, but his second at bat in the 3rd inning got the big 3-run home run. That was d'Arnaud's 4th home run of the season. On the night that he returns, it really iced the ball game, gave the Mets a 7-1 lead.
Well, the Mets beat up on former Mets farmhand Scott Kazmir in his first outing in Flushing 10 years after being traded away. In a snappy 2 hours and 24 minutes, the Mets with their second 4-home run game of the season. Chris Young with a pair. Mets go back-to-back with Granderson and Young. First time that's happened this season, as the Mets win it easily 10-1. For every Mets win, the Mets Foundation is proud to contribute $2,500 to the Cats Women's Hospital and the Cats Institute for Women's Health. For more information, visit northshorelij.com/KIWH. This win brings the total contribution so far this season to $90,000. Let's go down to the field with Kevin Burkhardt. Kevin?
All right, Gary, thanks very much. Chris, what does a night like this do for this entire offense, coming off the game you had in the series in Miami, to come out against the best team in baseball like this?
It was great, especially against a pitcher like Kazmir. A lot of respect for him, and he's been having a great season. So for us to come out, enjoy the off day yesterday, and come out and do what we did today, it was impressive.
I mean, you had Bartolo going against his former team, yourself going against your former team, both performing well. What's that like when you go against some of your friends over there?
It's always a lot of fun. Before the game, you get to go out in center field and catch up with everybody. But when the game starts, you get into competitive mode.
For you personally to have a game like this, especially at home, what does that mean to you right now?
Feels good. Feels good. You got to start somewhere. So this is just the beginning.
How about the 4 home runs by a team? Is that a thing that's contagious for this team, that can be contagious?
Let's hope so.
Did you think you had number 3 there? You hit that 3rd one pretty good, too.
I thought I had a chance. I'll be lying if I said I wasn't thinking about it at the plate. So, it just didn't have enough pop today. So I'll take it.
Chris, you played well on the trip. You come over. I know it's only 1 game, but still, the overall effort against a team like this, can you gauge the confidence of where you guys are at right now?
Yeah, right now we're just trying to build off of it and make a strong push.
A couple of home runs. Congrats on the big game, Chris.
Thank you.
Chris Young, guys. Nice night for him. Let's go back upstairs to you.
The Mets' 3rd straight win. They've won 5 of their last 6. They go back-to-back with double-digit performances for the first time in 3 years and beat the mighty A's 10-1. Back with more from Flushing in just a moment.